Hello and welcome to this pit stop for Tales of the Northlands, the Sagas of Noggin the Nog, a game by Amusement Games designed by Nick Case. In Tales of Northlands, the Saga of Noggin the Nog, the players are going to be working together to try and gain the crown for Noggin the Nog himself against his evil uncle Nogbad, who's also trying to seize the crown, and we play as Lords of the Northlands, looking to run our economy, gather resources, send people off on sagas, and score the most points to be the best Lord while we help Noggin in his task. Now, the game is run by a time mechanism shown over here, and this is the players. And it's the player whose meeple is hindmost is going to take the turn first. Now, they're going to choose one of the actions on the board, and that's going to cost them some time. Now, they're going to move their meeple forward according to how much time they've spent. If they are still the hindmost, they will have to go again and choose another action. If they're neither at the back nor at the front, they have a choice of going again. Noting that if they're level with another player, if they don't take another action, they're going to lose time by being forced to move into the next free spot. If they carry on taking actions and are then furthest forward, then they have no choice but to stop there. This rune stone will then move forward, and again the hindmost is going to start taking actions around this wheel until they've decided to stop or are forced to and slide in, and that's how we're going to carry on round and round and round. Now, when the runestone gets all the way to the top here, it's going to be a change of season, and that's going to change some bits and boards slightly how actions take place on the board. And it's also going to drive Nogbad towards the crown, moving his crow along. So there's going to be a maximum of 8 seasons during the course of the game. If Nogbad gets there first and claims the crown, there's going to be a sort of victory for one of the players. However, what we're really trying to do is get Noggin the Nog there before the 8 seasons are over in order for it to be a full victory for the players. So we've talked about how this time mechanism works, what you're actually doing on a turn. You're going to choose one of the action spaces on the board, and you're going to have some Nogs here on your own private player board, and you're going to use them to activate the action. Now, if you haven't used a space before on this season, it just costs 1 Nog to go in there, in this case to be a miner and do some mining. If you have used it before, you must pay Nogs equal to the number of times you've been there before, in this case 1, and 1 extra. So to go here again and fish will cost us 2. If we want to go back here again, that will cost us 3, and so on. So in these areas here, we're collecting the basic resources. If we do choose to go fishing, we'll choose how much time we wish to spend there. And for each time that we do spend there, we draw from the fishing bag some tokens. And the tokens are going to show us either fish on there, or they're going to show us old boots. And we simply count out the number of fish that are on there, and we get to claim that many. When we go mining, again, we choose how much time to spend. It costs us 1 piece of time to move anywhere through an empty tunnel. Or for each piece of stone we wish to mine out, for 1 time we move into that space and take that cube and move along the tunnels. Now, when we're claiming these resources as a maximum we can claim, everyone starts with a maximum of 2. However, you can upgrade by going to the building spot and claim better pieces of transport, which allow you to collect up to 4 at once, for example, and us claim all 3 of those fish if we had upgraded our fishing boat. Now, how are we going to pay for these things? Well, in terms of these transport, you'll have to have gone to the woodcutter action. You see it's been very busy down here. For the woodcutter, you can either cut down wood you've already got in your own orchard here, or you can move the woodcutter around through the forest. It always moves anti-clockwise, and when it gets to a forest clearing, you check the number in the clearing. In this case, it's 3, which is the highest. It's 1 or 2 up here, and you'll be able to collect up to that amount of wood as long as you have the right amount of transport for there. Whenever you collect these resources, they have to come back to your house. Now, your house can only hold a maximum of 6 resources, so we couldn't collect this many anyway. So, as well as being able to improve our transport when we come over here to this builder action, we can also build buildings. The level 1 buildings, there are 2 copies of each. Whenever we build a level 1 building, firstly, we're going to get an extra Nog from the supplier. We put 6 to one side at the beginning of the game and we start with 10. Usually, they'll allow us to store some of these resources. For example, if I buy this granary, I can move this 2 grain down here because that's what that can hold. And that frees up some space to allow me to collect some of these resources via other actions. We've also got a longhouse which will give us extra Nogs or new land if we're running out of space. And that's allow us to build another building on there. Because you can only build in spaces that are either completely empty or which have been emptied via your actions in the game from these fields or these orchards, but then you'll never be able to again grow grain or be able to have wood from your orchards. You can only ever buy from the bottom row of the buildings in a turn. And in year 1, they'll look like this, and they'll slide down as we go past the season, and new ones will come out so you can see what's coming. When we get to year 2, however, the nature of the buildings completely changes, and you no longer get nogs for building these, but what they do is give you chances to fulfill certain conditions with resources and score points at the end of the game. Now, there's a couple of other things over here. There's the farmer action. The farmer action allows you only in spring to sow crops into your fields, and then in summer or autumn you can harvest these crops and bring them in as food, which will be handy for you in other actions we take during the game. Also in autumn via farmer, you can collect food from your orchard if you've still got trees in there. Now, as you spend resources, they will go into this Nog Market. And you can always go to the restock action in order to put fish back into the fjord or to put wood back into the forest by planting trees. And if you put enough back in, you're going to score a handful of points for doing that. That's not the same way that the mine refreshes. For the mine, there has to be a certain amount of stone available in the market. And once that's true, you can spend points when you take your miner action to put a new mine tile into play that will fill up with stone and also possibly gold. And if you mine gold, it's a wild resource, or it's a couple of points at the end of the game, or via one of these level 2 buildings, it will score you 8 points each at the end of the game, which would be nice. Now, as things go on, also Nogbad at the end of each season is moving around the place. Usually at the end of a season, the players get to take back all of their Nogs from each of these spaces, giving them their Nogs to take actions for the next season. However, if Nogbad is shut off an area, not only can you not choose that action, but all those Nogs are stuck there at least till the end of the next season, hoping that Nogbad will have moved on via his infamy wheel up there. Now, I've talked about how you get stuff, how you build things, but I haven't told you how you're going to push Noggin the Nog along and a lot of the actions which actually develop during the course of the game. And you do that by going to the Nog Market. It only ever takes one Nog to go there, no matter how many Nogs you have there already, and it only ever takes one time. Now, when you're in the market, usually you can trade resources, 2 of one type for 1 of another, unless Nogbad is there causing problems and making it more expensive. You can also, for a food, use the action from one of the characters. There are several characters in the game, and they're going to help you, for example, move on Nogblades, moving for a different space, or make it easier to manipulate what's going on in these sagas, which are going to help Noggin, or make it easier to fill up these sagas, or make an invention easier to make. Now, I'm talking about these sagas and these inventions. Why? Because there's also another action you can take down here. Now, firstly, via the use of certain characters, you can drive Nogbad back to his castle, get rid of him for a season so that we're free to take our actions. However, you can also open up availability of these 3 different types of special cards. The first one are the counting house cards. If you choose to activate a counting house card, it goes up for auction, goes once around the table, and people are bidding time to move their meeple on. Whoever bids the most time moves their meeple that far along, and they get that particular counting house card. There's a whole deck of them, and they're artifacts that you can keep for the power on them. For example, this lets you put characters on after Nuka onto sagas, which we're about to come to. They'll also, if they're face up, score you 2 points at the end of each season. However, especially later on in the game, if you don't want that power, you can flip the counting house card over when you win it, and it's worth 8 points to you. They might, no matter whether they're face up or face down, score you points as you add to sagas, which we'll talk about in 1 second. The second type of card you can get are inventions. Now, inventions require you to add resources on there. You're always going to have to pay some food to Olaf to help you because he's the inventor. And again, there's a deck of them. They've got various in-game actions. This one scores you points in winter, but lots of them give you the ability to have a card and a once-a-season power, and you lay down the Nog to show that you've had that power. But these inventions and counting houses will lock up your Nogs for the rest of the game, which is one of the considerations you have to take. The important thing with inventions as well is that at the end of the game, whoever's built the most inventions is going to score 40 points, whoever's built the second most 30 points, and so on down to the number of players you have. This takes a maximum of 4 players and takes around 2 hours to play. The last type of card is the most complicated type of card, and that is the Saga. Now, 2 sagas will always be available to the players. In this case, it's the Moon Mouse. A saga will start with you having to recruit certain characters to go on the saga. When a player comes to the Nog Market as their action, they can pay food to recruit characters to come across. They will be on a supply card down here. Once you've finished a supply card, initially always characters, you're going to flip it over, but the Nogs that you've put in with the food will stay in place, and then you will get to choose from a couple of decks weighted more towards resources or characters and resources, the next supply card, which will come on here, and players, when they go to the Nog Market, will be able to pay food again to recruit characters, or in this case, for example, we paid a fish to recruit Noggin who's here, or a stone from the mine, and we put our nogs on there to show that we've done that. And as these supply cards get completed, they get put up here and put up here. Then when we put a supply card up here, we check and see if we've done enough to complete this saga. So this player here, when we come to the market, can give in the wood that's required to complete this supply card. We'll take the nogs off there. Everything that you've put towards the saga will move back into the marketplace, and we'll flip this over and push it in there. And we'll add back on the nogs that we used to show that we've helped out with that saga. When we compare the number of completed supply cards to the number required, it's 4 and 4. This saga has therefore been done. We can return all these characters back to the castle. They're free and they've been on this saga. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check how many nogs are on here, divide it by 6, round it up, and that's how far Noggin's popularity increases. And that's how we'll get Noggin to claim the crown before Nogbad by completing these sagas. Also, all of these nogs are going to score us points. We're going to start with the top card, and each nog on here is going to score 2 points. Next one 3, then 4, then 5, and then these nogs will come back and be available to us for the rest of the game. And this saga has been completed, and we'll put it into our book of deeds, and we will get another saga with different supply cards on. Like I said, there'll always be 2 of those available to us. And the game is going to end at the end of the 8th season when Nogbad claims the crown, or if we do enough sagas for Noggin the Nog himself to claim the crown. At that point, we're going to add up our points from our level 2 buildings, a few points for some resources we've got left, and where our nogs are on the board. And whoever scored the most points is going to be the winner of Tales of the Northlands, the Saga of Noggin the Nog. This has been a Game Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel. For more in-depth coverage of games, check out the Game Pit podcast. Thank you.